Hello, Erwin.
Yes,
Hey,
hello, how
what's
are
up,
you?
buddy?
Good, how are you, man?
Yeah, I'm doing well. How about you guys? Everything is cool?
Very good on my end. I don't know about Wagner, but everything's
Yeah.
good.
How's everything there? How's about this pandemic?
It's pretty weird because it's different for each emirate. In Dubai, there is a 24-hour curfew, lockdown. In Abu Dhabi and other emirates, it's from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. only. So, sorry, from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. You cannot leave the house. So it's different for each emirate. How about in Brazil? How is it going in
How
Rio?
many kids you guys got? This disease in your country?
So far, 4,000 something, 4,000
That
plus.
much? There's a lot
Yeah,
of people.
yeah. And every day it's like,
Because Abu Dhabi, Dubai is very international. Yeah.
yeah. Most of the people that have it are internationals, like from out of the country, people who traveled a lot, most of the cases. What about Brazil? How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Everyone in Brazil stay at home. Just wake up
Okay.
you know, like we change time because we're not working in Brazil. In Brazil, it's about like 1 o'clock in the evening, like even like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So we just woke up like in Brazil like 2 hours ago. The rhythm in the country is very slow. Nobody's walking. Like how do you say that, quarantine? Yeah. So everyone stay at home. Like families get together. No much.
Yeah.
I don't know how much the country gonna survive like that. Because you guys live in a first world country, so you guys can hold that like couple months. In Brazil, cannot. So I can tell that maybe the next like 1 month or like less than that, people gotta start to work again.
But
And
is it the same in every city in
country, if
Brazil?
you go out of mask, you gotta go out with mask. In Brazil, nobody go out with mask. So, yeah, I know that.
Yeah, here I think it's mandatory to wear the mask when you go out. But is it the same in every city in Brazil? In Rio, São Paulo, every city is the same?
Yeah, no. The big cities like Rio, São Paulo, you got much more cases. Like Northeast Brazil, like Brasilia maybe is very like most international place. Like Brasilia, Rio, São Paulo is like biggest place in Brazil. There's more cases. Rest of Brazil is couple cases, but like I would say São Paulo is like a New York. A lot
Yeah.
of cases. Yeah, São Paulo they have like the soccer places like soccer fields like Pacaembu, IMB, they become like a hospital. So
Yeah. I read that somewhere. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, we live in a weird time, but I hear what you're saying. A lot of if they don't go, it doesn't go back to normal. A lot of people are gonna get hurt. Let's talk about, because I've been talking to a few people in the U.S., in Europe, especially in the jiu-jitsu community. They're worried about their business. They're a lot of them are saying that this might hurt their business. And they might close their academies. And I'm talking about the jiu-jitsu community. Because the jiu-jitsu community depends on people coming to class and participating. It's such an intimate sport, and when you remove the social distancing, when you remove all of that, it's a special sport. When you remove all of that, it hurts a lot of people. How do you feel about that, since you yourself are a business owner?
Yeah, no. It's our business. We have like 20 gyms. We have like 8,000 students. And of course, when you teach martial arts, you're gonna be like body to body. Like you're teaching people, like touching people. And now it's kind of, nobody can have like more than like 5 or 10 people get together. So we have an AAD, you know, like a platform at home to teach people. I'm not sure, you know, like a lot of gyms doing that now. You know, we're doing like a lot of lives every night. Me, my brother, the coaches, and everyone, you know, teaching our students how to play at home. So that's what we're doing. You know, we teach them how to play at home. Not jiu-jitsu, just staying fit. You know,
Fitness.
so a lot of abs, you know, squats, a lot of things, a lot of Muay Thai, boxing. But jiu-jitsu, of course, you need someone else. You know.
I have a question. Do you feel, it's a hypothetical question, do you feel after everything goes back to normal, if ever, do you think the new generation families would be, you know, open to getting their kids to train a sport that requires a lot of contact like jiu-jitsu? Do you think this hurts jiu-jitsu in the long run?
I never imagined that's going to happen, you know. Like, I mean, let me tell you, the evolution of the human being, let me get back. You know, the evolution was the human beings, people get together, you know what I mean? Like before, it was like a couple tribals, like, you know, have 10 people, you know, 20. But now a lot of people get together. Like I do a lot of events in Brazil, like motivational speech, you know, for 800
Yeah.
people, like 1,000 people. So we do a lot of putting people together, like UFC. You know, we have like putting 20,000 people together. Even the show, I work for UFC Brazil. You know, then we have a show in Brazil, in supposed to be on Saturday, like 2 months ago, in Brasilia, you know, the capital of Brazil, and it was like Thursday. You know, the government of Brasilia just stopped the show. You know, so we couldn't bring people to get. You know, we just sold that time. We sold like 5,500 tickets. We have to give back to all the people, all the tickets. You know, and we made the show with no money, nobody seeing. You know what I mean? So it was so weird. You know, making the show just the fighters. You know, no crowd. You know, nobody watching the show. Was so weird. So for us, you know, who work with people, like make events, you know, for me it's very weird. So I never imagined that, you know, never happened this kind of thing you know, in the world, you know, not even Brazil.
Yeah. I mean, since you work for the UFC, you know of the plans to host a lot of shows without a crowd, at least till the end of the year. I mean, that's what I've been hearing. They're going to do it at the Apex. I don't know if any Brazilian fighters are going to be involved in these events because of the traveling. Maybe the Brazilian fighters living in the US can compete, but the fighters living in Brazil, maybe not. You might know better than me the future of Brazilian fighters, you know, living in Brazil.
Yeah, you know, I read a book, you know, like 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. They said like 72% of the fighters who play at home win the fights. You know, 72%, you know, was a percentage. Like when you play with your crowd, you know, pushing you, you get it motivated, you know, like things like this, you know. So I have this UFC Brazil in Brasilia. Nobody watching the show. What's happening to have, you know? So no crowd, you know, to push the fighters, you know. So sometimes you need, you know, the crowd to push you. Like if you see, I really follow the percentage of the winning the fight. You know, the Brazilian guys, of the American guys. Of course, when the Brazilian play with Americans in United States, most of the percentage you would know the American guys win the fight. You know, when you play with the crowd, so you know we miss the crowd, we miss everyone.
Of course, yeah. The drama, you know, the suspense, the
Yeah,
excitement.
no.
Yeah,
So
sure.
let me ask you now: on you seeing any guy from UAE, like, you know, getting better in martial arts? like mixed martial arts?
From the UAE, like
Yeah, the
Emirat,
guys from your country, like, you know.
unfortunately, not. You know, we are developed in jiu-jitsu, in a lot of sports, you know, but mixed martial arts is still the weak link. I don't know if it's something to do with sponsorships or somebody to push these guys to train MMA, but somebody would think about the history of Abu Dhabi, the history of the UAE,
Uh,
and when it comes to ADCC, when it comes to MMA, you would think there would be a lot of fighters, right? Emirati fighters. There are a lot of good fighters living in the UAE, but not local fighters. You know, Emirati, UAE.
no local guys.
Maybe one guy that I know of. He fought in Bellator. He's fighting now in UAE Warriors. He's the only one, but he's still even fresh. He's like a new blood. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, there seems to be a problem when it comes to developing MMA fighters from the UAE. A lot of people go to jiu-jitsu because the government supports jiu-jitsu.
Push the jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, there is money. The royal family, you know, takes care of the sport. MMA, not so much, but people say, I'm not going to go get hit in the face for nothing, for no fame. Unless there is a big government support here, I think that's the only way you'll find Emirati fighters, you know, more often in MMA. Or unless you love to fight, like you and your brother. Brazilians in general love to fight. They've been fighters. You know, another thing that people talk about psychologically is the way you are brought up as a kid. In Brazil, a lot of people fight for a living from poor neighborhoods, from whatever, you know. It's some people live hard in Brazil. In the UAE, it's not that much. It's almost an easy life when you were born. You know, when you're born in such an environment, you know, the government takes care of you. So sometimes you don't get that fighting spirit. When I talk about fighting spirit, I'm not talking about fighters in life. I'm talking about fighting as martial arts or as, you know, MMA fighters. So nobody is forced to fight. You know what I mean? It's like something that people who love are going to do, you know, but nobody's going to do it for anything other than that. That's my opinion on why it's not happening as much in the UAE as other parts of the world.
Inshallah.
Yeah, I mean, I think for the jiu-jitsu, you know, Wagner, you know, the jiu-jitsu, you know, like you can bring more fighters, you know, to the game, like more like a jiu-jitsu guys to the MMA game, you know, because jiu-jitsu is like a, you know, the big thing of the game. So I think, you know, the jiu-jitsu can bring, you know, in the future, when the level of the UAE, like Abu Dhabi, Dubai, jiu-jitsu guys going up, you know, the new guys, local guys, I think jiu-jitsu gonna bring more guys, though.
I'm sure, and it's easy to sell for families, for the community, because there are no strikes. So it's easy to go to a father and a mother and take their kids to train, right? When it's jiu-jitsu, as opposed to like boxing or MMA. You know, it's easy to convince parents to bring their kids to a jiu-jitsu or a judo, you know, or a karate class or whatever, you know, like a grappling sport, let's say, or a non-striking sport. Maybe karate is fine because there's a lot of katas and stuff. You don't have to fight people all the time, but you know what I mean. It's an easy sell. That's what I can tell you. You can introduce tools without any problems. You know, you can introduce it anywhere you want without having issues. Maybe Wagner has been around here in Abu Dhabi, and he knows how things are when he teaches all these kids, whether in schools or at the arena. And you've been here many times, and you've seen how it is too.
Yes, I know. And I was studying the history of the jiu-jitsu in Brazil. You know, we just made a book, you know, a couple months ago, and then we tried to implement the jiu-jitsu in Brazilian schools, like you guys did in Abu Dhabi, you know. So we try to implement in Rio. So we made it a book, you know. We have that book, all the sports in Brazil, and we just made it a book about jiu-jitsu. So I have some speech from Rodolfo Vieira, Amaro Bittet, you know, all the big names, Brazil. Ricardo Libório, you know, Pinduca is the oldest guy in Brazil, you know, for Castle Gracie. You know, we're talking a little bit about the history of Castle Gracie and Helion and everything. And we was talking about this, the history of Maeda. You know, Maeda was a Japanese guy who bring the, you know, who bring the jiu-jitsu to Brazil. And this guy, he was like a samurai. You know, he was like, you know, one of the biggest names in Japan. And we were so blessed to have this guy come to Brazil, you know, and bring the culture of the jiu-jitsu. You know, you can imagine, Brazil is like a, it's not like you guys, very organized, you know. So jiu-jitsu, I think it come to the schools like came to, you know, Dubai, Abu Dhabi. It's going to organize a lot of things, you know. So we are very blessed. But I can tell you, man, we just make a documentary about jiu-jitsu like 1 year and a half ago. I don't know if you have seen like a third degree I was making.
You came to
talking about
Tim
we have
Nogueira
that,
and Sheikh Taraf was involved as well. And that is it the same show?
Yeah, we film a little bit about of Tim Nogueira, but we film Gabriel. What's this guy name? Gabriel. He was the last one. The heavyweight champion was a Gabriel
Gonzaga?
Yahya, no.
Hã?
Local, do local.
Qual era o nome do campeão que foi peso pesado, Vagão?
Yahya.
No.
O que lutou com ele.
I know.
Heavyweight, he local.
Rocha. Gabriel Rocha, right?
É o brasileiro, pesadão, molecão, que era
Rocha.
daqui do Rio.
O Gabriel. O Gabriel, no?
Yeah, the big guy.
The big
Huge
guy, you know, the heavyweight one. He fought in the final against the guy from Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, Yahya. He beat Yahya in the final. Yeah,
so,
he beat him.
You know, we film about, you know, the jiu-jitsu and you know, in the end, we film about the biggest competition in the world, you know, was in Abu Dhabi. So you guys I will tell you, guys so blessed and fortunate to have the jiu-jitsu in your country, you know, like it's inside your country, your country, you know, in Abu Dhabi, Dubai. So I think it's very good for you guys.
Let me ask you this, because I'm working on a documentary too on almost the history of jiu-jitsu, but more about the history of the ADCC, and it's all connected somehow. And I did a Carlson Gracie documentary as well. You talked about doing a book or writing a book, you and your brother. You know, probably the only book that people reference when it comes to jiu-jitsu is the book where I believe Carlos Gracie's daughter wrote. I forgot. Hayla Gracie, I think. Is it Hayla or Hodger's mother?
Again, sorry, my sound is really low.
No, you were talking about writing a book, right? You and your brother.
Yeah.
It's interesting because the only reference book that I know of that, you know, a lot of people have read about the history of jiu-jitsu is the one on I think Carlos Gracie's daughter, or is it Hodger Gracie's mother? Hayla? Is it Hayla Gracie? I forgot the name. Yes. So that's like the reference of jiu-jitsu history that everybody knows. So are you challenging that, or are you complementing that? Like, are you doing the same?
No, like we have a different history because people gotta know, you know, where the jiu-jitsu come from. You know, I lived in Japan, you know, many years.
Yeah.
So was studying about the culture of jiu-jitsu. You know, Maeda was a Japanese guy who came to Brazil after the Second War, like after 140 some, you know, and they have in North Brazil like one of the biggest communities for the Japanese people.
In Belém, right?
Belém, yeah. When the biggest community comes to Belém, another big one comes to São Paulo. Okay, this guy was a samurai, you know. One of the biggest guys from from jiu-jitsu and judo, just came to Brazil, and he had like back then we were studying like Pedro Valente from Miami, the oldest one, the father, his father was talking about the history of jiu-jitsu. So, the oldest guy came to Japan, and he was teaching like 20 students. And Helio, Helio, and after Carlos and Helio, he started training with them, like with him and with his student, what was not even with him, and then learn jiu-jitsu. So all the fundamentals, like, if you go to the, if you look for the judo before, you're gonna find all the movements you find in a jiu-jitsu, like even omoplata, all the high things you're gonna find in judo.
That's why I asked it. That's why I asked this question, because a lot of Brazilians, there is a struggle. A lot of people say, what did Maeda teach Carlos? Did he teach him Japanese jiu-jitsu, or did he teach him judo? And some people say it's Japanese jiu-jitsu, some people say it's judo. And there's always this line of thought that people think it's this or that. And the judo guys obviously think it's judo, right? I think it's called Kosen judo. Kosen judo is basically very similar to jiu-jitsu. He just explained most of the moves are what we see in jiu-jitsu. There's even an old video of two Japanese guys. Everyone has seen it, like black and white video, two Japanese guys doing submission moves. And they say it's from Kosen judo, right?
Just give me 1 second. I'm gonna show you a picture of one thing in the Instagram. I don't know if you open Instagram. Okay, 1 second.
Okay, yeah, sure. How are you doing there, Wagner? You gonna jump in with anything? You enjoying the discussion?
Yes, it was good. I show you, look.
Ok. Olha que bonitão, cara. Okay, if you see the Instagram or anything like, they say Kosen Judo. You have seen that the Instagram?
That, of course.
Yeah, a lot of times I go, I follow this Instagram, and I see all the movements we have in jiu-jitsu. We see over there.
Yeah.
All the chokes and everything. So, the judo has everything. Has everything. All the mode positions, all the arm locks, even for the guards. A lot of things you see for the guard sweeps and everything. You see in the Kosen judo. So the jiu-jitsu is very old. It's very old.
It's a very interesting topic, and I know Robert Drysdale is making a documentary as well that's very controversial. Apparently it's like anti-Gracie history. He's telling a very different story than what the Gracie family have told everyone. I don't know if you heard about that, but there is a documentary coming out that's been done by Robert Drysdale. I don't know who else is behind it, but it's basically an alternate history of jiu-jitsu. So it's very interesting that all these things are happening right now. All these, stories and different histories and rewriting history, maybe, who knows? It's definitely something that a lot of jiu-jitsu guys will study going forward.
No, I see. Of course, those guys, they're improving. About the physical of the races is very different than the Japanese. When they implement a sport in the country, whole country was doing. A lot of I'll tell you, like, in Brazil, MMA, they start to fight in another kind of martial arts. So they have to improve the jiu-jitsu, everything guard, how to play against, different martial arts. In Japan, they never have like, fighting against different martial arts. So of course they're improving, but I can tell you a lot of movements you see in the jiu-jitsu, nowadays. Of course, if you go to Kosen Judo, you're gonna see this thing. Because I follow this thing every day on. Because I'm sick about martial arts. So, so I follow everything about I see martial arts. We have a documentary we call Viver para Lutar, like Live to Fight in Brazil. And international they call 30 Degree is in a fight pass. We went to 18 different countries in the past 3 years. So I lived, in 18 different countries. We study about martial arts. We study about judo. We study about, karate. We study about everything, hapkido, taekwondo, everything. So 18 different martial arts. So I'm sick about martial arts. That's what I did my past 3 years.
Yeah.
So when I see something like in the internet and in the Instagram about martial arts, I stop and leave. I want to read about everything. So that's in the past 3 years. That's how I started to learn about jiu-jitsu.
And there's one thing I always meant to ask you. There's a lot of people when they want to introduce jiu-jitsu as a new sport to someone, they show them some fights in MMA, right? Back in the day, they used to show them Royce Gracie in UFC, whether it's UFC 1 or the subsequent ones. I personally showed some guys your fight against Bob Sapp. If I want to show somebody the power of jiu-jitsu, I show them that fight. Also, maybe Royce Gracie and Akibono. Just because, somebody who's not familiar with the sport, when he sees the two different weight categories, they began to be like, whoa, what's this, And your fight against Bob Sapp was probably a lot of people's UFC 1. Do you agree with that statement, that your fight with Bob Sapp was almost like, for a lot of people in the new generation, or I would say from 1997 onwards, the equivalent of UFC 1 and 2 and 3 and 4?
Yes, like I'm telling you, like I can tell you, like my fight against Bob Sapp, like the most new generation, like 10 years ago, start watching, like maybe 15 years ago, start watching. But I'm telling you, I became like a jiu-jitsu guy watching Royce Gracie, you know what I mean? So he was the guy in my generation. Maybe, now on, now people watching, different fights. I was the guy of my generation. Royce was the guy, like a generation before. So I tell you, a lot of people, saw this fight because I was a big guy, I was a big guy, even like 100 some kilograms. This guy was 170. So impressed a lot of people, because of the size or the power of this guy, what the technique he was using. But I can tell you, like, Royce Gracie against Dan Severn. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah.
That
was like a 30-minute fight, and then last minute he got him in a triangle choke.
Yeah, triangle choke, yeah. So he was getting beat, something like that. So, like fights like that, for me it's very classical in the game. You can use the jiu-jitsu. Now I've been seeing like a let me put it back here. Now we can see any jiu-jitsu guy using the jiu-jitsu like Demian Maia, Rodolfo Vieira is using a lot too, yeah.
Especially his last fight.
Huh?
Especially his last fight.
Yeah.
He was losing, and he got him with the side choke, arm triangle.
Yeah, you remember Rodolfo last fight? He used a lot like pure jiu-jitsu. Yeah?
Indeed, yeah. A lot of jiu-jitsu guys love that fight because it showed you another, value of jiu-jitsu. Being almost done in that fight and then ending it with a submission, the same way he ended his previous fight too. So he could be like the next guy to represent jiu-jitsu in the UFC after Damian Maia. I don't know if we lost Rodrigo here.
Do Bronx.
We lost him? Okay, is it?
Yeah, somebody's calling. So I can see, now on I can see a lot of, the MMA is using a lot of jiu-jitsu, in the past in MMA. I could see, Jacaré was using a lot of jiu-jitsu as well.
We lost him again.
Internet.
Yeah. We're gonna wrap up soon.
I'm sorry, somebody's trying to call me. So normally
okay.
guys using that like a jiu-jitsu, like a Damian Maia, Jacaré. Now once see Rodolfo Pires using a lot of jiu-jitsu.
Do
So
Bronx.
he's type of guy, he learned a lot of boxing, like the rest of course you gotta put the guys down, but like once you get in the top, like Damian Maia doing, once you get in top, like step by step, you get in the guy, So no many guys could do that.
I don't want to.
Vagão.
Do Bronx.
No, jiu-jitsu. Using the jiu-jitsu like a
MMA.
Damian Maia,
Yeah.
like step by step.
I don't want to keep you this long. One last question about Team Nogueira. You said you and your brother opened a lot of schools all over the world, and what's the aim of a Team Nogueira Academy? Is it to train the next generation of fighters, or is it something like the UFC gym where you just want people to come and get fit and train, just the everyday casual person? Is like, what type of academy or what type of vision are you and your brother looking for?
Like in the beginning of Nogueira, we have a team like Ana Cecília was playing, like back then, Bagan was doing MMA, was one of the biggest sparring partners of me, Rafael Feijão. We have like a lot of great fighters. We have like, maybe 13 guys, like Patricio Pitbull, Patrick Pitbull, the main guys for the Bellator. I could remember like they have a UFC in 2013, and we have for the 13 fights in UFC, we have 8 guys for Team Nogueira in the same night. UFC Brazil. So we was really strong, was really pushing like MMA, but we find like a normal guy, like even a normal guy is not a fighter, like like a guy working the bank, like a doctor. They need jiu-jitsu to change their life, So we could find that this thing, like teaching jiu-jitsu, like a Muay Thai, boxing, for the everyone, people, like someone like normal guy, So we started, we make a program with the kids. We make a program they call a ladies camp just for the girls, for the ladies. That's we have like 20% of our students like girls, like in the ladies camp. Another 20% of our students they call Chinogueira kids, like all the young people. Then we made a very strong program of jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai. So that we have like in those days, nowadays we have like 8,000 students with 20 gyms. And our mission, like we say we got a mission, because my mother has a gym when we was like 4 years old, and our gym we have normal people, training. That's how I started martial arts. Not to be a fighter, just normal kid, was try to play martial arts. That's why I became like a loving martial arts. So that's our mission, teaching martial arts for everyone. If they want to be in the future, they want to be professional, that's my happen. But teaching jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, let's keep, other functional programs for everyone.
Okay. I thank you for your time, to be honest. I know it's a difficult time for all of us, but I noticed something. Your friends call you Rodrigo. People in North America, especially the Americans, call you Big Nog, and a lot of people call you Minotauro. Which one do you like best? What do you like being called?
Yeah, like 3 names, yeah.
I know. I noticed your friends call you Rodrigo or Rogerio for your brother, and then the Americans say Big Nog and Little Nog, and then you have Minotauro, and like everyone has a different take. Which one do you like best? Which one do you like being called?
Most of the people in Brazil, they call you by your nickname. All my friends call me by the Rodrigo. That's my middle name. In America, they call you by your first name and your last name. That's normal in America. So a lot of people call me, Nogueira. Antonio Nogueira. So that watch, that's giving the nickname Big Dog. That's why started the Big Dog.
Yeah.
But I like to be called Rodrigo. That's my middle name.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, man, for your time. Some good conversations. I enjoyed it a lot, especially the. I didn't know you were working on a book and a documentary, and these things are very dear to me, because I've been working on a documentary for the past 6 years. So I enjoy documentaries. I love watching documentaries about anything and everything. Like to learn new things every day. So good luck with that, and look forward to reading your book whenever it comes out. Hopefully it's in English, at least, not only Portuguese.
Yeah, of course. Man, we have this documentary we call 30 Degree, about martial arts in, in 18 countries, like I told you. So I love to send you the links of the episodes. If you could, show the people in your country, will help. We have the platform in Brazil. They call UFC Docs, but outside country, outside Brazil, it's gonna be in the UFC Fight Pass.
Yeah.
So it's for free.
It's UFC Fight Pass is available here, by the way. UFC Fight Pass is available here, so maybe your series is on there. I'll check.
Okay. Thank you very much, my friend. So it was great to talk to you, my friend.
Same here. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, and sorry, I have
it's fine, man. It's fine.
The last time I couldn't talk to you, 2 days ago, but I asked Wagner to call you today. It was a great talking, have great questions. We're talking about everything about jiu-jitsu. So thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you. Hopefully it's not the last time. We'll meet again soon, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
Wagner, anything you want?
E aí, Vagão?
Demonstre. Saudade, hein?
Valeu,
Pô,
coração. Obrigado, irmão.
Nada, filho.
Obrigado.
Tamo junto, pô. See you.
Obrigado.
See you there.
See you.